Hi everybody, this is the Combo Cut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, and welcome back to the Combo Cut. Hopefully you like this video. So, there's this big movie coming out, Fantastic Four, First Steps. And they hired Pedro Pascal to play Reed Richards. Again, race-swapping white characters. Because they wanted, Hollywood is sending a message that they'll race and cancel characters that have been created to be white and Caucasian, and they want to do that to white people and Caucasian people. It's all the sort of part of the globalist plot to destroy the world, and they want to normalize this. It's okay to do this. It's okay to do this. But anyway, Pedro Pascal obviously was the star of The Mandalorian. He's a complete, total nut job. And I guess he went on some weird rant. I guess, during the Cannes Film Festival. And this is what was reported from that Park Place. Pedro Pascal went off in profane political meltdown at Cannes and got applause. Well, no kidding. Gina Carano got fired for a meme. That's the part, I guess, the other part of this article. It's becoming impossible to ignore the way Hollywood treats Pedro Pascal compared to the way it treated Gina Carano. Pedro stood in front of the international press at Cannes, dropped an F-bomb on political opponents in the United States, promoted a film that vilifies conservatives, and walked away with applause and headlines. Meanwhile, Gina Carano, who said far less, without profanity attacks, remains blacklisted from Hollywood, forced to take her fight to court, and she's going to win. I mean, they tried to run her out of the business, try to ruin her reputation. She will win that case, no doubt. While promoting A24's Eddington, Pascal was asked whether he was concerned about returning to the U.S. given the film's political message. His response was blunt. F the people who try to make you scared, he said. Here's the way that they win. Keep expressing yourself and don't let them win. What are you talking about? You guys are the ones that are talking about all this 86-47 stuff. The film itself is set in New Mexico during the 2020 lockdowns and features a clash between Pascal's left-leaning mayor and Joaquin Phoenix's sheriff. The story has been described by critics as a direct attack on conservative populism. Did the sheriff tell him not to lock down the place? The story has been described as critics as a direct attack on conservative populism, set in a town tearing itself apart. Variety praised its aggressive tone and message, with Pascal calling the script a form of whistleblowing and saying it felt like someone was finally speaking out from the inside. There has been no public reprimand from Disney for these comments, no distancing from Marvel, no statement from Lucasfilm, and there won't be. Pascal remains the star of The Mandalorian Grogu and is still playing a prominent role in Avengers Secret Wars. The thing is that you have what they did to Star Wars is just a revenge, because they knew that the messages in Star Wars contradicted the globalist belief system. The last few movies that George Lucas put out was an allegory of 9/11, an allegory of terrorism, an allegory of some shadowy figure or figures in the background controlling everything and manipulating everything, manipulating governments, manipulating politicians. And they had to tear this down. That's why they probably bought Lucasfilm. That's probably why they bought and redid the whole Star Wars canon. They had to do that. They had to sort of discredit the ideas of Lucas. Again, mention this about George Lucas. He was not part of the studio industry. He had his own studio. That was one of the things he wanted when he agreed to do Star Wars with Fox, because he didn't want to have to deal with the sort of bound down to them. And they knew that, and they didn't forget that, and that's why Star Wars had to be destroyed, ripped apart. That's why they hired all these different actors that are complete total nut jobs like Pedro Pascal. Unless Pedro Pascal has done some kind of like horrible thing where he committed a crime, he doesn't have to worry about anything happening to him. So if he said this, it's just ridiculous. Nothing's going to happen to him if he didn't commit a crime. Uh, but like I said, Disney hired all these different people and to carry their message, to carry this sort of globalist, satanic message that you don't want to be a hero. Heroes are they're terrible people. They're racist, homophobic, all these terrible things. You don't want to be that. You want to be a villain. The Mandalorian is based off of Boba Fett. Boba Fett is not a hero. Okay? The Mandalorian should not be viewed as a hero at all. He's a villain. And they made in the episodes 7 through 9, Rey, they tried to present her as a hero, but she was a villain all along. She's the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, So they mixed everything up. They wanted to make you root for the villain and root for villainous things, like in the second movie. You saw how Rose Tico prevented Finn from having a good death, prevented him from having, doing the right thing and helping, that would have been a great end to his character. It would have created a real tension in the series. They didn't do that. There were things in these movies that they highlighted the villains, they highlighted villainous characteristics within these heroes, and they had to do that. And you had to sort of rip apart the idea of Luke Skywalker being the hero, which he was. He helps his father redeem himself in the first 6 movies. He has his beginning, and then Luke redeems him. So you have these characters that everything's completely upside down. Everything, all the characters, all the villains are shown in the light of being a hero, and all the heroes are pathetic. All the men are pathetic. Everything's led by the women. And there's no damsel in distress. I would mention this, and this is I thought was interesting. Interesting. Princess Leia in every movie wore different clothes. If you think about it, she wore, in the second one, in episode 5, she wore different kind of costumes, and in episode 6, she wore different costumes, whatever it was. Amidala, Princess, I'm sorry, I'm getting it screwed up. Padme, in the 3 movies that she was in, Natalie Portman's character, she wore different costumes almost every scene. There was sort of a variety there, a beauty there with Princess Leia. Simplicity with Princess Leia, but real exoticness to Padme. And then you see Rey, she wears the same clothes in all the movies. Slightly different colors. That's a rigidness of the character. A lack of openness to the world. There's a real message that's sent. And most women don't wear the same clothes all the time. Okay? And there's a reason why she was cast for a specific reason. One, she's not very sexy the way they dressed her. She has a bit of not a lot of charisma on the camera. And she looks very androgynous, which is what they want. She looks very similar to some of the other characters of what Disney hired. The woman that they hired for the last Indiana Jones movie. Same thing. Skinny, not buxom, not very feminine. That's all done on purpose. They all look the same. Very few of them, they're never blonde, they're never redheads, dark hair, very masculine looking, and they strip all their femininity out of it. Rose Tico, the actress who played her, is extremely attractive, very feminine, but they stripped that all down and made her look ugly. That's on purpose. That's to turn everything upside down, and you accept things that God has not created in all his glory. And then you have Pedro Pascal, who really is a nut job, and the things he said and says all the time is just crazy. And look how he's dressed. He's not a snappy, he's a very strange guy. Very snappy dresser, isn't he? Look at this. Very strange guy. Well, Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you later.